Finally, Chicago has gotten it right. We finally have addressed a need for the Chicago Bulls. We finally have actually signed a player that actually fits and makes sense. We finally got a player that fits our timeline. That player is Javonte Green. Adrian Wojnarowski has reported that we have just signed Javonte Green for the remaining of the season. This comes on the heels of him actually signing a 10-day contract in which he was 3 games in. I'm Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we jump into it, wanted to let you know that 74.5% of you guys are actually not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with your latest news and happenings with your Chicago Bulls, guys. And so let us go ahead and jump into the content today. And that is Javonte Green. And really the question here is what the Javonte Green signing means. All right, guys, so Javonte Green, if you've been watching the Chicago Bulls, has been a guy that is a huge energizer bunny for us. And in a lot of ways, I argue that he basically is Alex Caruso 1B. All right, like he is like a version of Alex Caruso. And to put this into context, really, and to see kind of how Javonte Green has really fit in with the Bulls, I actually went ahead and I'm bringing back some material here that actually appeared on actually the Bulls Wire here. And this is kind of putting into context, you know, how Javonte Green has really been familiar with the Bulls and really what his impact has been, because what it is that Javonte Green plays a lot bigger than what he is. He is an undersized forward that plays a lot like a 5 or 1 to 5, really. I mean, he can pretty much do a lot of different things on the court. And I actually argue that since he's come back, it looks like his jump shot has improved a lot more as well. And so this is what was said about Javonte Green when he initially signed the 10-day contract here earlier. And so originally he was acquired from the Boston Celtics along with Daniel Tice and Troy Brown Jr. and in a three-team trade, involving Luke Cornett, Daniel Gafford, and then also Chandler Hutchinson. And he started 45 of 65 games in 2021-22. And Donovan here consistently relied on him as an undersized power forward. Now, I'm not going to read this per se, but Green, a popular undersized forward who wasn't re-signed after he underwent knee surgery last season, recently caught up with his former teammates in San Francisco following the Bulls Golden State Warriors game, and he had averaged 12.8 points, 6.8 rebounds in 22 minutes over 10 games for the Santa Cruz Warriors of the G League here. So, you know, guys, this was a huge impact for us, all right? Like, this is a guy that essentially was going out here. You see that he was averaging double figures in G League play. And this is a guy that was huge for us, right? He started some major games for us. And when you look at the year that he had, or the year that he did that in, and the year that we made that trade, this is when we had Lonzo Ball at full strength, all right? And so I led with the fact that he fits our timeline, right? Like, this is a young forward that actually fits the system that we actually have been successful at. Now, this is banking on the fact that we do get something back from Lonzo Ball, or we get the pace of play to pick up with Kobe White and Dosunmu back here, or Dosunmu, excuse me, then essentially we're looking at a guy that I think fits in perfect for us, because this is a guy that you do not need to call a play for. This is a terrific guy that is great at slashing to the basket, terrific lob threat as well. And it looks like I said, his jump shot has improved. He has knocked down some timely three-pointers when called upon as well. So I love that aspect of him. It almost reminds you a little bit of kind of what Royce O'Neal has been able to do for the Phoenix Suns and also to the Brooklyn Nets and the Utah Jazz. And so that's why it's really intriguing with what Javonte Green brings. Now, on the other side of this thing is what he brings from a physicality and defensively. I led with the fact that he is a lot like Alex Caruso, all right? And to really bring that home, home, I actually have the comparison with the numbers of the two. And you're actually going to see that essentially you're going to see Alex Caruso and his defensive, all defensive team, when he won that award, you're going to see how that actually compares a lot to what Javonte Green was able to do in his most successful year with us, with the Chicago Bulls. So let me go ahead and bring that up. All right, so initially here, you're looking at Javonte Green's numbers, right? And so, much like Alex Caruso, guys, like I said, it's not necessarily about the points here, so I don't want you to get locked in on that, but I want you to just look at what you see across the board here. And the biggest thing that you see here is the fact that his field goal percentage actually went up as he actually played some seasons here in the NBA and actually started with this here. He's up to 62.5 there as far as, field goal percentage. And actually, when you look here at the free throw percentage, it dipped a bit, but he actually is a lot better of a shooter than shown here in his last season. That could have, obviously been something to do with the injury, but I want you to definitely take a look here at the rebounding totals here, guys. So you see, this is a guy that can go out here and at least get you about 4 rebounds a game. Here's a guy that also goes out there and gets a steal. You see that he's about 0.5 in the block percentage, and he's 0.9 as far as assists. And I'm looking at that season here, 2021-22, where he was averaging the 7.2 points per game. Now, how does this compare, obviously, to Alex Caruso? So I told you when he won his, where he was in the running here for the Defensive Player of the Year. He also got that first team award. You're looking here, he averaged 5.6 points per game. The blocks were right around where Javonte Green is, the 0.7. Look at where he is, the steal-wise, 1.5. Steals per game, he had 2.9 assists a game, and then you see the rebound totals are actually 2.9. So you're looking at Javonte Green, and essentially, like I said, he rebounds at a little bit higher clip than what Alex Caruso does, but in comparison to the numbers and the way they score, it's about the same. And you're going to see that the assists are up a bit for Alex Caruso, which is a little bit understandable because Alex Caruso is a little bit more of a ball handler in these situations, a little bit more of a distributor, and a guy that's probably leading the break, unlike Javonte Green, he's more of a finisher on the break, more so than a guy that actually leads the break here. So like I said before, guys, I think that this is a huge signing here. We're getting essentially a 1A from Alex Caruso. Here you see them hounding Klay Thompson here. And this is what Javonte Green does. He is an irritant on the defensive end. And this is a guy that essentially, I think it's one of those mindset guys. Remember, I talked about this earlier. I know I get a lot of pushback with the whole situation with DeMar DeRozan being in the locker room and being older. But like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, you're not going to find guys like Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, or Javonte Green and the kind of energy and effort that they bring on a night-to-night basis and the professionalism that the Chicago Bulls really need. And I think this is the stuff that, Kobe White definitely needs to be around. Patrick Williams, if we bring him back, which it looks like we probably will, that's another topic. And then also too, what's going on with DeSumo as well. Like, we need to have these guys around, champions and winning type of players. And Javonte Green is definitely a guy for the locker room. This is a guy that certainly can help us here. And the fact that he's been able to help us and we haven't been able to necessarily have a high scoring rate as far as pushing the basketball like it was when he was playing with Lonzo Ball, that really is encouraging to me. It lets me know that he's going to be effective really in no matter what situation. So I love that about him. And I know, hey, this is probably mainly because Julian Phillips had the foot injury and the various injuries that we have had. We obviously need Javonte Green, but I think this is a guy that we should for certain go ahead and invest in for the long term. I think that he would be also huge for Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips as well, because these are guys that perhaps may have to play undersized. They're going to have to probably go out there and play a little bit of the power forward. They're going to have to go, anywhere from a 2 to 4. And I think Javonte Green is certainly a guy that they can learn off of. But right now, this is a guy that we need on this last part of our playoff push. Here is a guy that certainly is going to help us against, Milwaukee. He can help us certainly against a team like the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, if we were having to face them as well. We need somebody that's going to give us a level of physicality that sometimes, arguably speaking, we may not necessarily get that from Vooch. So let me know what you guys think about this signing. Was this Javonte Green signing worth it? Does he fit the timeline for the Chicago Bulls? Would you like to see this guy moving forward in some seasons to come? All right, guys, and so this is Rico Greenhowe. I'll see you guys on the next one. And as usual, baby, let's go Bulls. I'll see you guys. Peace.